difficult for Forbidden Kingdom. Has a world of ability. Should be the favorite in one of these 100-point races in the Santa Anita Derby. But come Churchill Downs, come the Kentucky Derby, it's going to be a whole new ballgame.
Blood Horse, Secret Oath to take on the boys in the Arkansas Derby. So is Secret Oath a really good filly then?
She is, and she's got the right trainer to do it. Dwayne Lucas has won the Derby before with a filly.
Lucas!
We can't get rid of him, right?
All right.
He's
all right. I've got it right off the text, right off the sheets. John Hardoon. You ready?
I'm going with a 11 or a 10 3/4. What we got?
Classic Causeway. 13.5.
Wow. Disrespectful.
Wow.
Let me tell you something about Golden Glider. Okay.
Came on strong at the end of the race.
Jonathan came on the show.
Oh,
Friday,
you heard him?
And Jonathan said, I don't know why he's on Chad's list. He'll be off Chad's list on Monday. And he is correct. He's off my list. But for a second, I was watching the race with more interest in Golden Gliders running first or second. I keep him on the list. Now, that's a lot of pressure on the morning lines maker.
Yes.
Right? And obviously, we've seen some of these ones and some of these tracks are not the best morning lines makers.
No. They're not looking at the sheets, that's for sure. All right, we're back talking thoroughbred horse racing with Chad Summers. Another week closer to the Kentucky Derby, Chad.
Yeah, no, we got the last 50-point race out of our system.
Well, the last
Tampa Bay
big
Derby,
Kentucky Derby prep race. There are still a couple of races I've never heard of that are getting 50 points.
Yeah, no, but this is look, the time is now. You know,
That's
everybody basically has one last chance to stamp their ticket. There are some horses who are, assured a spot in the starting gate now, and they kind of have it on easy. But mostly all the horses that have won these 50-point races, we are tentatively slated to see one more time. So we'll get to kind of form our final opinions on them. The only one would be Classic Causeway, where basically trainer Brian Lynch said after the race, we'll either go straight to the Derby or maybe we'll run in the Bluegrass. So he will be the one that we're kind of waiting to see on. Okay. But all the other winners of the 50-point races are pointing for some of these 100-point races. And the reason why that's important, not only for us as horse people or as handicappers to see these young horses run one more time before we kind of circle in on the Derby, but the one thing that it really allows us to do is to see what happens with the points. Because if any points that they earn are points that other horses aren't earning. And so the bar of how many points you need to qualify could drop significantly if some of the horses that won the 100-point races were to step up and win the 50-point races were to step up and win the 100-point races as well. So a lot of moving parts right now, but it looks like plans are starting to be firmed up every day. And it's going to be an exciting, this is a quiet week here, but after that, it's really going to heat up.
Yeah, besides the last race, the Lexington, and I don't think any Derby horse comes from the Lexington.
Well, what the Lexington does is it allows those fringe contenders one last chance, right? If you're on the list, it's almost like if you talk about the PGA, right? And what's the cut line, right? And you tell a golfer, hey, listen, the cut line is going to be -3 or -2. We'll give you a chance to play 18 one more time to qualify for the weekend. That's something that can happen here. So where the numbers are is going to be so crucial, and there's going to be so many horses on that cusp that you might see one or two horses that are going to go for it. I remember the first Kentucky Derby I was able to participate in, from the ground. I had a horse named Song of the Sword, and there was a horse named Rock Hard 10 that was 22 on the list or 21 on the list, and he was going to run in the Lexington. And the owner said, we're with Song of the Sword, we're not going to run. We're gonna scratch. And so he didn't enter in the Lexington, thinking he's going to enter into, get into the Derby. And then the day after the Lexington was run, the owner said, "Nah, I'm just kidding. We're running in the Derby." And Rock Hard 10 had to wait for the Preakness and did not get a spot in the Kentucky Derby. So, look, the points are the points, and they are kind of the determining factor. So, the Lexington, while from afar doesn't look like, the number one Kentucky Derby prep race, making that walk on the first Saturday in May. Look, I'm down here in Ocala, Florida right now, where people are trying to find next year's Kentucky Derby, prospects and stuff like that. And that's what you do it for. You do it to live the dream and to make that walk under the Twin Spires on the first Saturday in May. And look, there's only 20 horses that can qualify for that race. And if you're one of that 20, it doesn't matter how you got in.
Yep.
It's the fact that you're there. And once you're in that starting gate, look, I was talking to jockey agent Ron Anderson yesterday, who's, one of the preeminent jockey agents in the game. He has Joel Rosario and John Velasquez. And we said, look, it's not necessarily the best horse that always wins the Derby. It's the one that has the best trip. And so you got to get your ticket. You got to go dancing. You got to be one of the 20, and then let the gates open and see what happens 2 minutes later.
And as far as whether it's a trainer or an owner, it's sort of like when you get the opportunity to be in the playoffs if you've never been there before. Let me just get some experience, even if it's just with a horse that, all right, it's probably not going to win, but hey, now we're in it. So now I could get some experience about how this is as a trainer of a horse or as an owner of a horse in the big stage. So maybe when I come with a real contender, I'll be a little bit more prepared.
Look, it's not even just trainer and owner, but it's jockey as well, right? So there's a jockey that rides Forbidden Kingdom and Juan Hernandez, who's one of the top 5 jockeys over there and done a great job on Forbidden Kingdom, but this will be his first Derby mount. And so the added experience needed for the jockey as well. And that, with that in mind and, the way he trains and the way these other horses run, that's why he took a little bit of a dip on our rankings here, because it's going to be difficult for Forbidden Kingdom. Has a world of ability, should be the favorite in one of these 100-point races in the Santa Anita Derby. But come Churchill Downs, come the Kentucky Derby, it's going to be a whole new ballgame.
And why is that? Because he's a West Coast horse?
Well, he's a West Coast horse, but he's difficult to train in the morning time. He doesn't have, and we've talked about this on the show before, about having like that switch, right, where you're able to kind of ease off or turn on. He's go all the time, and it's very, very, very difficult to win going a mile and a quarter, go all the time.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll update the rankings in just a little bit, but just taking a look at the board as far as the remaining races. Again, here you got Keeneland, 20 points at the bottom. There's only 3 other races that, and I've heard only of one of these 3 here. The I can't even pronounce this one, from Japan. That's 40 points.
That's a separate. So Japan and Europe both have their own road to the Kentucky Derby, and both are given a spot if they want to come. More times than not, they don't.
They don't even come. Okay.
We've seen Japan try and come, right? We've seen horses like Lani, which was everybody's favorite, the crazy gray horse that was getting saddled in the middle of the track and going crazy. And I saw him mount a fire hydrant when I was in Dubai.
Oh.
So he was that. He was that crazy. But I think. There's a chance. There's
Do they have Dalmatians?
There's a Japanese horse actually that's owned by Godolphin. That'll be one for us to watch kind of moving forward. He won one of the earlier prep races. He's a homebred, a son of Pyro who's done well out there. There's a chance he would come. It's just so expensive. It's very, very difficult to get the horses shipped here. It's not like let me call my travel agent and hop on Pan Am.
Yeah.
So,
we talked about how difficult it is from the UAE Derby as well, and those are better horses. Where's Chelmsford City?
So Chelmsford City is in Europe, and that's, again, part of the Europe road to the Triple Crown. The problem with the European road to the Triple Crown is a lot of those races are run on the all-weather surface, okay? Mm-hmm. And so with that, the all-weather surface, to me, it's not really a fair evaluation because you're not running on the dirt. And while we have that over here with the Jeff Ruby Stakes, for the most part, most of those other races, or almost all the other races, are run exclusively on dirt.
And the Sunland Derby race is 50 points.
So the Sunland Derby, that it's also known as the Bob Baffert Invitational, right? He's run well over there. But Mind That Bird would be the one that comes to mind. So he actually did run in that race. I don't even think he won, but he ran in that race. And then famously, his trainer, with his crutches and all, got in the pickup truck and Chip Woolley, and they drove cross country, and they shocked the world with Calvin Borel. And now there's a movie called 50 to 1. You can check it out.
Okay, very nice. Good plug. Here is the points update after Classic Causeway's win in the Tampa Bay Derby, 66 points.
New leader.
Yep, the new leader by 2 points over Epicenter. And then you can see the rest, including the horses that are on your rankings. Epicenter, Simplification, Forbidden Kingdom, Morello, and let's see, we got to go down to Zandon down there. But we'll talk about the rankings just a little bit. But Classic Causeway winning the Derby, the Tampa Bay Derby, and it was an impressive win. And the sheet line looked really good. It looked like this was going to be a tough horse to beat. And it seemed like, to me, a very solid victory.
So this is where everybody becomes the experts now, right? And you always see this as the Derby Trail heats up. First, you're going to see it with their final prep races. Then you're going to see it with their workouts. And everybody, they do such a great job of, especially on social media and Twitter and XBTV and some of these other websites where you can watch these horses train and work out, leading up to the Derby. And everyone, this work was no good. You don't know, if you don't know how the horse works on a day-to-day or a week-to-week basis, you're not an expert, okay? If you sit there and you watch once, that doesn't make you a pro. You don't know a horse's maturity level or something like that because one time you watched a horse work out and an iron broke that you didn't even know about. So, there's a lot of stuff and integral stuff that goes on a day-to-day, but these people become experts. So take Classic Causeway's race. They say, the buyer came back too low. He can't win. Now, I've never seen a horse win the Kentucky Derby off an 84 buyer. Well, again, I don't think a buyer means anything because I have no idea what they mean. And until they release the true algorithm for what a buyer is, because I thought it was a speed figure, but apparently it's not, because speed doesn't matter. It depends who you're trained by and who you're owned by and everything else, which should not weigh into this matter at all.
No.
And look, Classic Causeway is a very, very nice horse, okay? He won first time out at Saratoga, which is not easy to do. He's run well in Churchill Downs. He had some placings over there. Then he went to Tampa. And he's done nothing wrong in the Sam F. Davis and he did nothing wrong in the Tampa Bay Derby. Now, the more positives for him, he has, and this is a little bit of a football term, but the best first step I see of any 3-year-old in the country.
Oh.
When they leave the gate, he's in front.
That's good. That's good for the Derby.
He's ready. So in a race loaded with speed, when you see some of these other horses like Epicenter, like Kingdom, like Morello, and some of those others along the way, his first step will be in front of them. Now, Usain Bolt didn't have the best first step in track and field, but he was always in front of the fire. So is it the end all be all? No, but it's good to know that horse, especially when you have so much going on and 20 horses loading into the gate, you're going to be standing there for a while. Every time that horse breaks, he is on it. He's on it, and he's good to go. And right now, you would think that he's Irad Ortiz Jr., who's one of the leading jockeys in the country, his mount. Now, he'll ride a few others as time goes on here, and he'll have to make a final decision. But for right now, I would think that's Irad's horse, and you're certainly in good hands if Irad's aboard. So that would be the positive, okay? The negative is, and it's tough, it's not his fault. It's nobody's fault, okay? But one thing we've seen over the years is horses that like Tampa Bay love Tampa Bay, right? They seem to really thrive over it. Some horses don't like it. So while he's done very well over there, and he's run well everywhere, okay? He's done really, really well at Tampa. He's going to have to convert that to Churchill Downs. So that's a little bit of the unknown. And he's done everything in the last 2 races by himself. Now, look, part of that is a brilliant horse. Part of that is a great jockey. And you're able to set the tempo. But those tempos have been slow. Where Kingdom Road, they're flying. They're going a half mile in 45 seconds. In Tampa the other day, he's going a half in 48, going 6 furlongs in 113. That's not going to happen. Now, he's fast enough. We've seen him breeze at Saratoga before he ever ran, and he went 6 furlongs in 112. So it's not a question of can he go that fast. It's can he go that fast and continue on at the 1.25 mile distance. And that's a little bit of the unknown because he's not the biggest and strongest horse in this. He's very athletic looking, but he's medium-sized build. And I think, everything's going to have to go perfect for him to win the Kentucky Derby.
Well, the good thing is at least he has a trip over Churchill. Yeah. And did you? I just asked John, by the way, for the sheets. Did you get the sheets on the horse?
I got the sheets on our latest entrant in the top 10, but I did not get the sheet yet on.
Okay, so hopefully John will get lucky like last week, and we'll get the sheets on Classic Causeway for the race on Saturday.
I would imagine it will be a similar number than he got in the Sam F. Davis. I don't think we're going to see him drop to a low number, right? So what did he run?
Oh, it was an 11.
Right, so I can see him running another, like a paired 11.
Okay,
would be my guess.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Which is, look, if you pair 11s, and Jonathan knows this much better than me, but if you pair 11s and then say he doesn't run in the Bluegrass, so he's fresh, he's going in off 8 weeks into the Kentucky Derby, he would, in theory, and you can ask Jonathan about this on Friday, but he would, in theory, be sitting on a lifetime top number, but that lifetime top number might be an 8 or a 7, and it looks like with some of the horses that what they've run already, you're going to need a 3 or 4 to win the Derby this year, I think.
Well, it would be his third 11 in 5 races, and I'm not so sure, especially in back-to-back 11s, I'm not so sure that would be a positive.
Okay.
Because from listening to John, especially like you said, great that not only did he win coming out at Saratoga, but he posted an 11. And that is hard to do on your first mount. But then in your first race, but then after that, you come back. That's why I'm saying we'll find out if it's another 11. That's why I would have liked to have seen at least a 10 or 9 even, but we'll see. Hey, you'll probably wind up with better odds than that way.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. He took some money in the final future pool, but if he doesn't run again until the Derby, there is, we live in such a society of recency, right? And it's funny, like our poll has basically kind of stayed very similar over the weeks. But everybody else, all these other pundits, their poll changes week to week. Whoever wins is now your new number one right away.
Of course.
And these horses, it's not like college football where you're playing every Saturday, right? So you have to take other things into consideration. And I think he will be the forgotten horse.
Okay,
good. Going into the Kentucky Derby because everybody else is going to have more recency.
All right, so I'm going to show now because what you're talking about here. I'm looking at the Blood Horse article that says Kentucky Derby Pool 4 closes. Smile Happy, the second choice. So as I scroll down here, Barber Road. What does that mean? Why is Barber Road? So what is this? You tell me what this is. Is Barber Road number 1, Barber Road 39-1, Pool 4 odds. What does all that mean?
Yeah, that's so basically what they do. Churchill Downs and Twin Spires offer these future pools, which was kind of popular in Vegas for years in other sports, and now with the popularity of other sports books getting involved, it's something that's really kind of taken off with any sport.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Who's going to win college basketball?
Who's going to? Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And who's going to win? They have free agency today. Now that Mitchell Trubisky is a Pittsburgh Steeler, are they going to move up on the odds? They got a backup quarterback. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So this is Churchill's kind of way of doing it. If you can't get to Vegas, they do it 4 times a year. This was the last one. And so basically you're locked in at those odds on Sunday afternoon. And if the horse wins the Derby, you get paid off. So for example, Barber Road, you said closed at 38-1.
39-1. So what does that mean? Yeah. I know what that means, but why does it say number 1?
He's just the first horse. So it's just alphabetical order.
Oh, so they shouldn't even have number 1. That's deceiving. Yeah.
Well, if you bet number 1 in theory. But
that's the number 1 on the ticket? Okay.
Correct.
All right. So let's see. Classic Causeway is 10-1.
Right. So that's about what you'll get on Derby Day. Maybe a tick or two more. I don't think it'll be less. So that's not necessarily the best future wager because when you make a future wager, you want a horse that you're getting really, really good odds because you're still at a risk.
You mean like this one here, Cyberknife at 36-1?
Right. So Cyberknife would be a perfect example of he's 36-1, where, by the way, he was 62-1 on Saturday. But he closed at 36-1.
That's until you change the odds yourself.
If he were to win his next prep race, with the connections of Brad Cox coming off, back-to-back Eclipse Award championship trainer, He ran second and fourth last year. Obviously, has now moved up to first and third. He's a horse that you would imagine come Kentucky Derby would be far less than 36-1. So that's a horse where you're rewarded if you take the gamble now, and that's all it is. It's
sure,
a gamble.
Sure. And wouldn't I know Manual is 9, I believe, in your rankings. Isn't 33-1 a good number, like you're talking about? Because it wasn't just too long ago where you felt that that this is one of Pletcher's top horses.
Here's the problem. Okay, both Emmanuel and Cyberknife, among others on the list, have 0 points.
Yeah, they still have to get in.
Yes. The leader. Yeah. They have to get in.
Yeah.
So it's not like in any other sport where it's like, all right, win your conference and just keep winning and you have many opportunities.
Sure.
They need to run first or second in their next race. Otherwise, you're watching the Derby without a future wager because they're not running in the Derby.
Yeah. Well, that's part of why you're gambling on the good odds.
Right. So Emmanuel, if he would have won the Fountain of Youth last time, he probably would have been about 6-1 here. Instead, you're getting 33-1.
Yeah, I like that.
And it sounds like he more than likely runs next in the Bluegrass Stakes with Luis Saez on April 9th.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty cool. Let's see. I also see here that so Secret Oath says Blood Horse, Secret Oath to take on the boys in the Arkansas Derby. So is Secret Oath a really good filly then?
She is, and she's got the right trainer to do it. Dwayne Lucas has won the Derby before with a filly.
Lucas!
We can't get rid of him, right?
All right.
He's got 2 horses technically on the Derby trail now, right? With her and Ethel Road. Ethel Road will go to the Bluegrass. She's going to stay home. She won 2 races in Arkansas already, 2 stake races. She was very impressive last time out, winning the Martha Washington, where she ran a better time and a better sheet number than the winner of the Rebel, our buddy old One Eye Unoho. And so she's going to take on the boys. And look, Lucas has always been kind of that riverboat gambler mentality, the Ron Rivera of horse racing, mind you, where he's going to go for it. And she has enough points to get in the Oaks. And they said, look, we have to find out if we're good enough to take on the best 3-year-olds and a race like the Kentucky Derby. She's a homebred filly that was scratched from a sale because nobody wanted to even look at her, let alone bid on her to try and buy her.
Okay.
The owners kind of maintain their belief in her, and they have been, greatly rewarded. She's from a sire in Arrogate who was the best horse in the world at one point, never got a chance to run in the Derby because he got his career started too late. So it would be a nice story. But look, she's been beating up on fillies that are not of the same ilk as her, and she's done it very impressively. When she puts forth an effort in the Arkansas Derby, this will be the toughest field she's ever faced, with bigger and stronger horses. When she makes that middle move that she's been making, because she doesn't break very well, it might be too late for her to run them down. I respect the horsemanship, and I respect the connections, doing the sporting thing and taking on the males. We see this all the time in other countries. But I do think this is going to be very, very tough for her. And she's going to be maybe go off as the favorite in the Arkansas Derby. And I don't have an idea.
Wow. Okay. By the way, I'm also going to post up now Horse Racing Nation as the actual odds. So even though the pools are now taken off, like if you wanted to go to a sports book,
right,
and place odds or place a wager, it looks like the favorite here is Classic Causeway at 9-1.
Okay.
And then you have Forbidden Kingdom, Smile Happy, Epicenter at 10-1, Morello 12-1. And then Messier is 15-1, but we don't even know if Messier is going to be able to race. It all depends on if Bob Baffert's going to pass.
So look, we've started from the first week we've done this show talking about Bob Baffert. It wouldn't be a week without really talking about him.
Yes.
The latest hearing is on the 17th. I'm supposed to have a ruling no later than the 19th. And what that is that's going above the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission to the actual state of Kentucky to try and get a stay. What a stay would do is basically trump the KHRC and demand him get a right to work. And until it's finally resolved, then he would be allowed to compete, so they think, in the Kentucky Derby and run his horses in Churchill
Okay.
Downs. Kentucky is different than most every other state. I don't know if they're going to go for this, and we'll see what happens on the 17th. Look, he can then appeal again, like all the way up to the Supreme Court, and with Amr Zendin, the owner of Medina Spirit, and some of his other connections behind him, it's something that he can do. And the lawyers think that they can overturn it, and he has some really good lawyers. Clark Brewster is as good a lawyer as there is. I mean, he should have his own TV show. He's that good, and take on Judge Judy every week or something like that. But in this situation, it's a very tricky situation. And even if they appeal to the next level, it will be too late, because at that point, he won't have any points, and probably the Derby will have already happened. So depending on what happens in this meeting on the 17th, with the results out by the 19th, we'll see whether or not these horses are going to continue with Bob Baffert, if they're going to be moved to another barn, if Bob Baffert's going to have his 3-month suspension, or try and get it reduced to 45 days, and maybe can run his assistant named Jimmy Barnes. But we'll know basically
by the time we talk next week.
The final, we should have an idea. Yes.
And just looking at here, that's really Messier is the only top horse odds-wise Baffert has. They also have listed Newgrange at 40-1, and and a lot of these Doppelgangers 125-1, and then you've got Corniche, Taiba 50-1. So
yeah, I mean, and it's funny, these people in Vegas that make all this money with these sports books, because you have Corniche, who hasn't even had a published workout yet as a 3-year-old. He's not running in the Derby. Okay,
I know.
If you want to bet today, tomorrow,
hey, bet him. Go ahead.
I'll give you 10,000 to 1. I'm not going to give you 50-1 or 50-1. Talbot, very impressive. Son of Gunrunner, who obviously has many horses on the list. He won his maiden race very impressively the other day, but that was going 6 furlongs, and it was his first start. So I don't think he can make the Derby. If everything went well, maybe a shot at the Preakness, or we can see him in big races down the road like the Travers or Breeders' Cup. Take nothing away from his ability and his talent.
Sure.
However, we're running out of time here, guys. So I don't quite think that he's also another one that won't make the Derby.
And I just noticed here, and I don't know if they should put these like in order, but Emmanuel is also 10-1.
Yeah.
So Emmanuel's 10-1, along with Forbidden Kingdom, Smile Happy, and Epicenter. And the other, I said Morello 12-1. You got Messier 15, Charge at 15, and Simplification 16. And those are the favorites. Those are the ones.
Right.
And Simplification. What did Simplification run on Saturday?
No, he won the Fountain of Youth a few weeks ago, and we're going to see him back in the Florida Derby.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking of Ship Stational.
Yes.
Yeah, I got confused with that word.
So Ship Stational, I got a chance to speak to his trainer, Eddie Barker, today, and he informed us horse is doing super. Didn't really get the best of trips, and look to see him back in either the Florida Derby or the Wood Memorial. So he's gonna run one more time here, and this is again a point situation where he's gonna try and get some more points. He has some. He had the second in the Sam F. Davis, and now the third in the Tampa Bay Derby, but he needs more points to qualify. So he's gonna give it another swing here, either Florida Derby or Wood Memorial for Ship Station of the New York Red.
All right. I've got it right off the text, right off the sheets. John Hardoon. You ready?
I'm going with a 11 or a 10 3/4. What we got?
Classic Causeway. 13.5.
Wow. Disrespectful.
Wow.
So the sheets are in alignment with the racing form, which doesn't always happen, and saying that was a very, very slow race.
Yep, not good at all.
That backwards number, I would think that
first time he's gone backwards.
While he is the morning line favorite right now in Vegas, and he's 10-1 in the Derby future pool, I would think that when Jonathan comes on the show on Friday, he will tell you he might win the Derby, but it won't be with his money,
unless he races again.
Sure.
Which he probably will, and then goes and has another forward move.
Sure.
So that's that. By the way, Golden Glider raced in Tampa Bay Derby, was in your rankings last week.
Let me tell you something about Golden Glider. Okay.
Came on strong at the end of the race.
Jonathan came on the show.
Oh, you heard him?
And Jonathan said, I don't know why he's on Chad's list. He'll be off Chad's list on Monday. And he is correct. He's off my list. But for a second, I was watching the race with more interest in Golden Gliders running first or second. I keep him on the list. He ran very well. He ran a good fourth. He's a horse with a bright future. Won first time out of Woodbine. I think there's a chance we can see him running in a race like the Lexington to maybe move on to the Preakness or something like that. I'm not giving up on him, but I don't think he's going to qualify for the Kentucky Derby at this stage.
Yeah, doesn't look like it.
But he did run okay. He did run.
Yeah,
he did run a solid.
Came from. I was like, whoa, where'd he come from?
Yeah, he just got beat a nose by Ship Station.
Okay, now the horse that's in your rankings for the first time is We the People, and this is a Rodolphe Brissett trained horse. 2 for 2 this year. Did not race as a 2-year-old. Coming off a 1.16 allowance win at Oaklawn Park on Saturday. So you must have saw something in that race that impressed you with We the People.
Yeah, this is the son of Constitution. So really, by the way, maybe one of the best names on our Derby trail, right? The son of Constitution named We the People.
Hey.
A Windstar horse that
50-1.
They've been very high on from the beginning. Okay, we talked about him on the show last week, saying we got to watch this race at Oaklawn, and if he won, he's going to make the list. So we keep our word here on Primetime Sports. And
was he a heavy favorite, like you said?
Yeah, he was 1-9. He won very
1-9. Okay.
He won by 5 lengths, geared down. Again, horse with a very, very bright future. Now, Rudolph Brissett has said that all options are on the table. Arkansas Derby, Bluegrass, or Santa Anita Derby, which really kind of threw me for a loop to go west and come back, but why not? So we'll see where he makes that next move. My guess would be Arkansas Derby. If he wants to get the extra week, I guess that's why he talks about the other races, but very nice horse. Very, very nice horse. Rudolph Brissett famously had Justified, did all the early training on Justified before turning him over to Bob Baffert, and said that this horse, We the People, has as much, if not more, ability than any horse he's ever trained. So I'm assuming that includes Justified. Justified very lightly raced. I think only ran 3 times before the Derby. So if he were to run in a prep race and were to qualify, certainly can win the Derby despite having to break all of the curses that everybody so famously likes to say about when you run and how many times you have to run.
We're going to get into all those trends definitely in the coming weeks. All right, I'm just going to see here because obviously we have some of your other horses. And by the way, Shipshational is now 75-1. I just mentioned We the People 50-1. Unojo is 55-1. And Rattle and Roll is still 30-1.
And we'll see Rattle and Roll. He is still planning on coming right back in the Louisiana Derby on March 26th. So that'll be our first 100-point race. He was a no-show in the Fountain of Youth, but he wasn't cranked up. He obviously looked like a horse that was giving one, kind of getting into it. But here you go, call your shot. Now you had one It's almost like in the NFL where the starters only want to play one preseason game and they think they're going to be ready for week 1, and sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. So that was his preseason game. So now here you go, Louisiana Derby, your week 1 playing Monday Night Football against the Saints. Let's see if you're ready or not, Rattle and Roll.
And White Barrio 35-1. And your rankings, by the way, did not change from 6-1. So that all stayed the same. And the only movement was, so you pushed Forbidden Kingdom from 7-8. And you moved Classic Causeway up from 8-7. And Emmanuel moves up from 10-9.
Yeah, I mean, just, how to put a spot for We the People. I still believe in Emmanuel. Him and We the People, very similar horses. And then, like I said, with the 2 front runners, Classic Causeway continues to do what he needs to do. And I've heard certain reports about Forbidden Kingdom, despite how visually impressive he's been. And this is the thing, right, where it's a good combination with a lot of things, right? So Jonathan and the sheets are a great tool to use, but it's also important to have boots on the ground and know what's going on with horses and how they're doing and stuff like that. And so the horses, I've been told, is doing very well, but I've heard from some very prominent people that they have their doubts about him in the Kentucky Derby. So he's just going to slide down. He's not off our list, but he is going to slide down a spot because I have belief in what these others are saying.
Now, as far as the upcoming races, again, nothing this week. You're traveling. You're going to be over in the United Arab Emirates over the weekend. and you've got the UAE Derby coming up after that on the 26th, and the Louisiana Derby is also on the 26th. So those are the two 100-point races to kick off the 100-point barrage of Kentucky Derby prep races. And so
now the interesting thing in Dubai is there's going to be a filly in that race who probably would never come over for the Kentucky Derby. There's going to be a 4-year-old in the race who qualifies by Dubai standards because it's a 3-year-old in the Southern Hemisphere. So his birthday is August. However, in the United States, if you're born in August, you're still the same age as the one born in January. So his name is Quality Boone. He'll be one of the favorites over there. But if he does win, he's disqualified from any points.
So two horses are disqualified from points.
I don't think he would get any points at that stage. Also, some Americans running in there. Bill Mott's going to have one that was third in the Jerome and Gilded Age. We're going to see Pinehurst, who for now is with Bob Baffert, wouldn't qualify for points. If he runs in somebody else's name, he would qualify. He won the Saudi Derby. So certainly is a horse who's, I've been told, training very well over there. So you got to watch and see what happens with Pinehurst. And Doug O'Neill has a horse named Get Back Goldie, who's a Golden Sense, who's going to run over there as well. I don't think at this stage, especially with the filly who we were so high on, Chamala, who's going to run in the Kentucky Oaks, not running, I don't think we're going to see a Derby horse come out of there this year. But if there is one that steps up and runs well, we'll be the first to report on it over here. That's for sure.
And what are you doing over there? Why are you going?
So besides the fact that I love it over there, and it's my favorite place in the world, and they've been very good to me over the years, there's a 2-year-old sale over there, the first one ever taking place in the Middle East. So I'm excited to kind of see how that goes and how the response is, and if that's something that we should get behind moving forward. So that'll be on Wednesday, I believe. The Breeze show is going to be on Tuesday. They're not going to breeze; they're just going to gallop, and then I'll be doing a lot of the
23rd.
Yeah, and then I'll be doing the TV work there with Dubai Racing Channel, which I'll send you the link, and we'll be live during the week, doing shows all week long, and then the night of, I believe, they don't take commercials over there, so you're on for about 8 hours with no break. So you better have a strong bladder.
Oh, I hope you get paid extra. They're gonna carte blanche you to death over there, so you don't need to get paid.
It's a good time.
I can imagine.
Anybody that has a chance to go to Maidan and check it out and compete in it. There's some trainers going over there for the first time. Brittany Russell, who's a name that I think is going to become a really, really household name in the next few years. She was the leading trainer in Maryland last year, former assistant to Jonathan Shepard and Brad Cox. She's going over for the first time. Safi Joseph, another one going over for the first time. He obviously represented on our list with White Barrio. He himself isn't going to be able to make the trip, but he sent Drain the Clock for the Golden Shaheen, who will be probably the post-time favorite. So should be really, really good. And on top of that, Todd Pletcher sends the best horse in the world, and that's Life is Great. Or Life is Good. I'm sorry, Life is Great is the 3-year-old. Life is Good.
There you go.
Will compete in the Dubai World Cup against Hot Rod Charlie and Midnight Bourbon, horses who were on the Derby Trail last year. And it should be a heck of a fight and a heck of a battle over there. Talking to Leandro Moro, Doug O'Neill's assistant, he said Hot Rod Charlie's doing fantastic, and it's going to be quite a battle and quite a show. And I'm very much looking forward to next Saturday night.
And again, the timing to watch?
It's about 7 hours. 7 hours different. 7 hours different. But we'll hopefully we'll be live on Monday. We'll give you the latest tips and trends going on over there when we do this show next week, and then the race will be on the 26th.
Right. Well, that's right. We got another show before all this stuff happens. So I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Well, hey, if they're looking for any up and coming American broadcasters that know everything about sports, I'm available. I'll take the trip permanently.
I'll send your resume.
I have no family. I have no kids. I should say that I don't have any responsibilities. Let's put it that way. Just a cat. Before I let you go, last week I told you about a horse in Italian. Remember I told you how that horse went from 8-1 down to 2-1. I won with him anyway, but I could have made a lot more money if he would have hit the exacta. So last week, and if you listen to the show, you know what I'm talking about. So last week, Scalding was 12-1 on the show, and the sheets were again perfect. I love the sheets. 12-1, really good trainer, really good jockey. I was like, no way this horse is going off at 12-1. And sure enough, goes off at 5-1 or something along those lines, 5-6-1, which was better than an Italian. But still, the odds dropped tremendously. The good thing is not only did he win, but I was able to hit the exacta as well. Finally, I was able to hit with one of those horses. But this is the second straight week that once again it shows you how the sheets just can quickly determine who should be one of the favorites, because there's no way that an Italian and Scalding over the last 2 weeks should have been at 8-1 or 12-1 based on the sheets.
I think that the thing with the sheets that's really going to be huge is in New Jersey this year. Supposedly, I think it's in place that they're going to have fixed odds wagering. And what fixed odds wagering is you get locked in.
I like that.
At your odds. So if you think you know something, right? If you think you've done your homework on the sheets and you want to bet the horse early on at 10-1 or 12-1 because that's the morning line, you're locked in. And so you don't have to worry about the movement of the board or anything like that. You get more than fair odds on horses that you think are priced incorrectly. Now, that's a lot of pressure on the morning lines maker.
Yes.
Right? And obviously, we've seen some of these ones and some of these tracks are not the best morning lines makers.
No. They're not looking at the sheets, that's for sure.
I was in Belmont Park for a few years when guys like Jason Blewett and Eric Donovan had to do it for years. And you know, there's a certain algorithm where you have to get it to equal a certain amount. It's not easy to make a morning line. I take nothing away from people who make the morning line. But a lot of times, and you see this a lot in New York, where the morning lines maker has biases against certain trainers or certain jockeys, where horses will be higher odds just because, you know,
they're human.
That's how it feels about them.
Yeah.
And so, look, the market normally kind of corrects itself. Obviously, the wise guy horse sometimes, you know, the tout horse will take more money than it should. But for the most part, it ends up balancing out. But like you said, when you do your homework, and that's a great tool with the sheets, right? When the sheets come out 48 hours before the races and you can really sink your teeth into it and you're handicapping with your cat, you have the opportunity to make money. And this is a plus where if Jersey does get this through and if you can somehow, you know, get an account in New Jersey, I think it'll be a benefit to where you're able to make more money for being right on your convictions. And that's, as a handicapper, that's all you can ask for.
If that happens, and to me, it sounds like that there's some sort of way to like market that properly to those people living in Jersey. Say, hey, you guys want to take advantage of this, you know, just follow our track record here and we'll let you know. And all they got to do, even if the horses don't win, as long as they see, wait a second, the odds keep going down and they're doing exactly what they're saying they're going to do. And they might not win every race. It's not going to happen that way, but that's what they're going to trust. And then, hey, they're just going to have to pay for that information. But I love that. That's a great, I really hope that happens. So keep me posted. I'm sure you will. Chad, appreciate it as always, and have a safe trip to your favorite part of the world. And I look forward to talking to you again while you're in Dubai.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, Greg.
You got
Have a good one.
Take care.